By the end of this video, you will be a master of the map function in Python. Hello, if you're a new viewer to my channel, welcome. And if you're returning, welcome back. All right, the map function in Python. I share a lot of your pain about the map function in Python. It can be really confusing, I understand. But by the end of this video, you will be a master of map function in Python. I'm not going to only be talking about how to write map function in Python. You've got ChatGPT that will do it for you. I will teach you the fundamentals in maybe less than 10 minutes. Let's see how I go. I do encourage you to code with me because if you do, then it starts to make sense. Make mistakes, guys and girls. Don't worry about mistakes. That's how you learn. If you see a lot of that red screen, that's brilliant. You are making progress. I know sometimes it's frustrating, but don't get frustrated. The ones who get frustrated will never get there. All right, what I'll be writing here is in a Jupyter lab. You can use VS Code, you can use PyCharm. It doesn't really matter. As long as you've got a Python running environment, you can do what exactly I'm doing on the screen. I have opened a Jupyter notebook called the map function. I'll leave a link to my GitHub repository to access that Jupyter notebook. But for now, let's talk about the map function. The map function comes with Python installation. So if you have a Python installed on your machine, you can run this and you can check that I am running Python 3.11. Not the most up-to-date. We've got 3.13 out now, but it doesn't matter. It works. With this, you will have a map function that is already installed. What I want your attention is that you can use a question mark with pretty much any function in Python to get the doc string, which is like the guidelines on using that function in Python. What I can see is that for this function, which is the map function, you will have to provide another function. Shortly, I'll tell you what I mean, and also an iterable. The idea is you can make an iterator that computes the function using arguments from each of the iterables. A very long sentence. In essence, think about a painter. So a painter comes to my room, okay? Then there is this wall, there is that wall, and there is that wall. This guy is a painter, right? He takes the paint with a brush and paints this wall, paints that wall, paints that wall. That's literally what the map function does. You give it a function, which is this term, and then you give it the walls, if you like. So you say, hey, I have a list of fruits, for example. I've got an apple, a banana, and an orange, and I want you to peel them, take their skin off. So this function is taking the skin off of a banana, an orange, and an apple. I talked about banana, orange, and apple. So you could think of a list that has got apple in it, banana in it, and orange in it, right? So this is a type of iterable, something that can be iterated, which an example, the best test would be for you to say for fruit. You can see that I'm writing a for loop because iterables can be used in a for loop. For fruit in this list, what I want you to do is to print the fruit. And you can see that it prints apple, banana, and orange. You might see where I'm going. I want to introduce to you the meaning of iterables in Python. So number one, lists. They are iterables. You can iterate over them. Number two is probably in no order, sets in Python. I could do exactly the same thing. So if I copy this, I just want to be lazy and I want to copy that. You can see that it's not a set yet. Let me just change that. Let me change that to a set. Okay, I've made it a set right now. You can see the only difference is instead of using square brackets, I'm using curly brackets. So, yep, I can iterate over them. And number three is your dictionaries. They're also iterables. What I will do, I'll copy the same thing, but let me just change it to a dictionary. Changing this one to a dictionary is a bit of a difficult one, but I will do that. This one is a 1, this one is a 2, and this one is a 3. I'm not talking about dictionaries here, but for now, I will talk about for fruit and their numbers. In this dictionary's items, I want you to print the fruit, or I want you to print the number. Doesn't really matter. That's a separate video that you can go watch. But dictionaries are another type of iterables in Python. Well, is that it? Are these all the iterables in Python? No, we have got number 4, which are tuples, or some people call them tuples, whatever you want to call them. Let me paste the same story here, and this time I will use brackets, just normal brackets, and I will still print it because this makes it a tuple. They're like your brackets and they are tuples. And are we done with iterables in Python? No, there is more. So number 5 is your strings. So anything like this, for example, my name, can be an iterable very easily. Just use a for loop for it. So I'll say for letter in my name, print letter. And you can see that I can easily iterate over that AMIR. So that's an iterable. And lastly, number 6 is a range. So range function, I don't know if you've used it in Python, but range function allows you to go from one point to another point by defined steps. For example, I can go between 0 and 100 in steps of 10. If I run this, I don't think I will see the results because it will show me again the iterable. But if I make this a list, I can easily see that that goes from 0 to 100, 10 step at a time. So that goes 0, 10, 20, 30. Still an iterable. I know that I got a bit distracted from talking about the map function, but this is very important because we want to take every one of these items, like a fruit, and apply something to it. So if these were the fruits, for example, if I go back up here, if I'm talking about these fruit, I can take them one by one and peel them. Let me show you what that really means. I will be working on lists, but you can pretty much apply the same onto any iterable: lists, sets, dictionaries, tuples, ranges, and strings. All right, let's make a list. I want to say list of fruit, right? And I will be using apple, and I will be using banana, and I will be using orange. So this is the list of fruits that I have. Imagine, this is imaginary, right? This is not real. Imagine the function is you have designed a robot, that the robot takes every fruit and takes the skin off, peels it. So what I want to do is to use the map function, because that's what map function does. Map function takes orders and applies it to an iterable. Here is a list. So the function is peel. We don't have that function in my Jupyter notebook, but as an example, and it applies it to my list of fruit. What happens in the background, if I run this, I will get an error because it says, hey, I don't understand what is peel. That's fair enough, I understand that. But what it does, it takes this peel function and applies it to my list one by one. What it does, it takes the apple, peels the skin, and sets the apple on the side. Then it applies it to the banana, peels the banana, and puts it on the side. It takes orange, peels the skin, and puts it on the side. So that's the beauty of the map function. Now, the sky is the limit. Think about the different use cases you can do. For example, you can take 1,000 emails and take the @gmail.com away and use the preceding bit, the first bit, to extract people's names. You can do that using the map function. You can take phone numbers and send messages to every one of them. You can define a function and apply that function to every one of those phone numbers. And there is so much you can do. I will be showing you a lot of examples right now. All right, let me just make this one a comment because that's not real. And what I want to do is to show you the first example of the application of the map function. All right, let's make this nice and tidy. I have got my section number 1. What is the map function, right? I will make this from code to markdown so that when I run, you will see a really nice title here. So as we said, the map function takes a specific function and applies it to an iterable. So we write it like this. We take a function from the user and we apply that onto an iterable, which is like a list, a set, a tuple, a dictionary, and a string and a range function. But what is really important is that it returns a map object. This is super important. Let me convert this to a markdown because I don't want to make that a code. And when I said it returns a map object and it's super important, you will see that in my example, which I will put in my second step. First example, let's make that a markdown. And in my first example, I will create a list. My list is called numbers, a list of numbers, 4 and 5. And what I want to do now is to apply a map function to convert them from integer, because they are integers, into float numbers. If you don't know what a float number is, if this is an integer, this is the float equivalent because it's got a decimal point value right there. So I want to go from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 1.0, 2.0, 3. I want to do that. So let me delete this one. What I want to do is to use the map function, right? And the function I will be using is the float function. And I want to apply that onto an iterable, which is the numbers here. So I have exactly followed what I said here. If I run this, you will see that the output is a map object. That's exactly what I wrote here. I said it returns a map object. A map object in itself is something that you can use inside your code, but you can't really visualize what is in there. If I want to visualize this, there are so many different ways that I can visualize it. I can create a list out of it, and I can see it. I can create a set out of it. I can see it. Let's see if I can create a dictionary out of it. It doesn't really fit a dictionary, which is very fair enough. I can create a tuple out of it, and I can view it. So think about this. You cannot see what is inside the map float numbers. You cannot see inside the map object unless you convert it into an iterable view that you think is most appropriate. One last reminder is that if I do it this way, I will not see the outcome because it returns a map object. It doesn't return the values that have been impacted. So for now, just to keep it consistent, I will only use the conversion into lists. But as I said, do what exactly is the best for your solution. Just to make it easy and most appropriate, I'll add a print function. It's not going to really make a huge difference, but I will keep it consistent with the print function. Now, let's make a second example. So I will go to another example, second example on strings. I want to use the strings and map function. What I will do, I'll use my fruit list. So let me just go back here, list of fruit, copy it, and bring it down here. Now, what I want to do is to map the capital letters onto this iterable. Again, how does it work? Select what do you want to do. That's your function there. And select your iterable. Well, I know what the iterable is. This is the iterable. Let me just paste the iterable here. But now I need to say what exactly I want to do. Well, I want to take these words, every one of them, and convert them to capital letters. For example, if you can imagine, I want apple to look like this. This is what I want to do. The function to do this is, let's see what the function is. Well, I don't have to really think hard. If I check if I put the apple in quotation marks to make it a string and press dot and then press tab, I can see different things that I can use. And number one is capitalize. I can use capitalize to capitalize apple. Let me see. It just capitalizes the first letter, but it's okay. I'm just going to use capitalize here. So this is the function I'm going to be using. Paste it here. Let's delete down the bottom just to keep it clean for your eyes. Now, I will run this and see what happens. It says name capitalize is not defined. The reason it didn't work is because capitalize, as I showed it to you, comes after the string. So you say string dot capitalize. That's exactly what I have to do here. So if I go str dot capitalize, then you will see that, hey, I'm not getting an error, which is a very good sign. Now, if I take the list of this, and if I also print this, just good practice, I didn't have to put the print there, this is just good practice, you can see that now apple is capital A where it wasn't capital A. Banana is capital B where it wasn't. So I'm taking my paint brush and brushing every object in that iterable, which is very cool. Now let's move on to section 4. So I'm just going to make section 4 custom function and map. What I want to do, I want to write a function myself. I'm not going to use any of the Python functions. I'm going to write the function, and then I will use the map function to apply to each member of the iterable. So let's bring down these numbers because I don't want to confuse you. I will just use the same numbers, and I will define a new function called squared, where it will take a number, right? And it will return that number squared. So this is my function. I don't have this str capitalize, or I don't have this float function here. All I have is my function, Amir's function, which does the squaring. I will exactly use the same structure. So map, what is your function? What is your iterable, right? I know what my iterable is. Here is my iterable, paste it here, that's what it is. And the function is called squared. So let's copy that and paste it here. Let's run and see what happens. I'm just going to close my eyes. It's fine. It doesn't give me an error. It gives me a map object. So look, we know that the map function returns a map object. All you need to do is to be really nice to yourself and to your Python and print the list format. And you can see that 1 has been squared to 1. Well, we know that. 2 has been squared to 4, 3 has been squared to 9, and such and such. All right, I have shown you how to write a custom function and then map it to your iterable, which is very cool. But then you could ask me, hey, did you really have to do this? Because it looks a bit difficult. Could you do it easier? Yes, I could. Let me show you what section 5 is using the Lambda function. So this will be a bit of a tricky one to understand. I will leave a link to my Lambda function video on the top right, but for now, what I can show you is that I could have gotten away with using this here. So I will copy all of that because I will use most of it, and I will paste it down here. I will keep both sections in your view so that you can see what I'm doing. What I will do, I will get rid of that function because I can. Now, I will not touch the print, I will not touch the list, I will not touch the map, I will not touch the numbers. All I will touch is this function here. So I will bring in the Lambda function and I will apply it to every single x value in that iterable. It's a bit of a counterintuitive one, but what it does, it goes to this list, which has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, takes the first one, which is number 1, and thinks of it as x, right? And says, hey, take x, which is currently 1, and square it, okay? It's 1 again, and put it in the map object memory. Okay, 1 goes there. Take the next x, that's 2, and square it, that's 4, goes to the memory. Take the next x, which is 3, square it, and put it in the memory. So we've got 1, 4, 9, and then we will have 16 and 25. If I run this, I should be getting exactly the same result with way less lines of code and a bit more productive way and a bit more sexy way of writing this. I like doing it because I can show it off to other people and say, you seen my code and do you understand it? I will talk about Lambda function in full detail in my next video, so don't worry if you didn't understand it. For now, we are focused on the map function. I do encourage you to code with me, because if you do, then it starts to make sense. Make mistakes, guys and girls. Don't worry about mistakes. That's how you learn. If you see a lot of that red screen, that's brilliant. You are making progress. I know sometimes it's frustrating, but don't get frustrated. The ones who get frustrated will never get there. In next one, I want to show you a bit more useful day-to-day operation that we use the map function for. And that's number 6, example, clean strings. Imagine I've been employed to clean some of the data that a company has, and my job is to clean people's names, because when they were typing, they haven't been really careful and they have misspelled and they haven't really used the title format. So what I've been given is to clean this data. Let me show it to you. So I've got some raw names, which you can see, hey, there is a bit of weird space here. There's a bit of weird space after the Alice name. And Bob is all in capitals, which is very ugly. And there's a space here, and it's not really the best formatting of the names. What I want to do is to clean them in one go. I don't want to use keyboards and one by one. What if I've got 100,000 customers? Can I clean them one by one? I can't really do that. But what I will do, I'll follow Amir's format of map function. So what I will do, print the list of map. That was easy. That's just the onions that I use, if you like. These are the onions that I use, and I will be using those onions repeatedly. But what is really important is inside this onion. I need a function, and I need an iterable. I know what the iterable is. The iterable is these raw names pasted here. Now the question is, what do I want to do? I know that I will be using the strip function. Let me show it to you. If I show you with Alice's name, so paste it here and go .strip, you can see that if I use the strip function, I can get rid of these preceding spaces and the succeeding spaces. So I can get rid of them and make it really nice and cool. That's what I want. And also, if I show you what I can do next after getting rid of those spaces, is I can use the title function, which converts this from all capitals to just the first capital. So 2 steps for this. Number 1, strip. Oh, look at those balloons. Number 1 is a strip, and number 2 is title. You remember how I talked about the lambda and x, right? So if I use this and I say, hey, you're gonna take them one by one, okay, that's what this x does. After you take it, I want you to take that x, which is someone's name, Alice, Bob, Charlie, whatever, take that x, first strip it, strips the preceding spaces and the succeeding ones, gets rid of them, and then title it. I think that looks really cool. Let's run that and see if it works. Look at that. I saved my company so much time and so much my money. Did I do a good thing? Yes, I think I did. I'm a really good developer. I do second that. I got rid of those spaces and I made them really nice and tidy. Let me just get rid of them. I think with the examples that I have given you, you have a really good understanding of the map function. It's a very powerful function. It saves a lot of memory. It's better than for loops. It's better than a lot of fidgeted handwritten functions. So I do encourage you to think of examples, send them to me, put them in the comments area and ask me questions. Hey, Amir, how do I do this? I'm more than happy to help you. But the essence is just keep practicing it. And also do not forget to subscribe to my channel and like my videos. I have heaps more coming your way. And I would like to think I am building a university of Python, ML ops, ML engineering, and data science to make you AI engineers, ML engineers, data scientists. Thank you for your support. And if you have any questions, leave them down below in the comments section. Thank you.